All right, welcome to another episode. I believe this is episode number 10 of your Bucket List Accelerator. And today we're going to cover some really interesting topics like active investing. That's a new trend. Is that something you should do? What kind of investor are you? We discuss that. We discuss your retirement number. Are you confident for retirement? All that stuff. I will actually give you the formula of how you get to your retirement number. So stay tuned for that. And we start off talking about robots in your home, investing. How do you look at that? And do you actually want robots in your home? I'm not sure if I do. And we put together this look with some fun makeup products. Huda Beauty Primer. We've got the Roc Lip Volumizer that everyone's talking about. Lip gloss by Kiko Milano. We've got foundation from Urban Decay. I know that was controversial. People liked it, but I do. And then the It Cosmetics Shadow Stick. We've got One Size Powder. I totally forgot to film this, but I finished it off with the Halo Glow Elf Powder, which I like. It gives me a little luminosity. And finishing it off with the scent from Merit. So if all that sounds good to you, that is today's show. And let's get into it. Good morning and welcome to another episode of your Bucket List Accelerator, where we filter out the noise so that you can focus on getting to your dreams and financial freedom. And we do this all while we get ready together in the morning, doing some makeup. I enjoy beauty. It's a nice time to just sit down and relax and be able to kind of have some girl talk about finance. I know they don't usually go together, but we are making it happen. That's why we're doing this. So sit back, relax, enjoy some makeup, enjoy some chat about finance stuff. We talk about recent news that came out that might be distracting you from getting to your financial freedom or becoming an excuse for you, maybe. So we're going to talk about all that stuff while we enjoy some fun makeup here. So if that sounds good to you, that's our show today. Okay, so I'm going to get started with putting my hair back in some clips. And hopefully you guys had a nice week. I did. It went a little fast and it was a little, those weeks that you feel like everything is just kind of busy work. That's how it felt to me this week. So I'll put those on later. And I'll get started with the Easy Blur Primer by Huda Beauty. I got this. I really wanted this originally when it came out, but I waited and I got this in some kind of box, probably an Ipsy box, I'm guessing. And I like it. It's okay. It's not game changing, but it does a good job. So use it as I have it and probably not repurchase, but that's okay. I'm really red today. I'm not sure what is going on. I had some breakouts and stuff, so that's probably it, I'm guessing, but we'll see. So while that kind of sinks in, because I always like to let that sink in for a little bit, so it doesn't disrupt any foundation and stuff, let's get started with the first topic today. So it is about AI software and changes that we are looking at in the AI world when it comes to investing. So while AI software has been the star for many years, really, May of 2026, we're starting to see a shift to something called physical AI. And companies like HMR, which I don't know that company, I'll have to look it up, are moving from lab prototypes to home-ready mobile exoskeletons and humanoid helpers. Chasing, basically the shiny object is, are we chasing the robotics, penny stocks, because that's what they are. They're all startup companies. And my answer, no, don't chase things. But I think it's really interesting as a topic to discuss. We get very focused on the thing. So in this case, companies that are robotics and they're specializing in this home-ready robotics. But there are other areas that could benefit possibly even more than that sector. Things like, optic providers, sensor providers, different other technology companies that could benefit from this boom in that, if that happens. And the big question is, do we think robotics at homes are going to be as common as the dishwasher maybe in 2020 2030, which is not that far away. That's only a couple of, how did I get foundation already on my paper? It's just the way it is, right? So I think that's a really interesting topic to discuss. So what am I going to get started with? I have an eyeshadow stick, so I think I will start with foundation today. Since it's already on my paper, I might as well have it here. So this is the Urban Decay Face Bond. It's in 14 light medium golden. It's not a perfect match for me, but I do like that it's self-setting. I do like to be able to put it on with something a little more fluffy so that I can get a little less coverage. I don't ever really want full coverage. Maybe I do now today because of my redness on my face, but we shall see. Bottle squirted, not me. Okay, and I'm going to use, I just said fluffy brush, but I didn't bring it over. So this is the Nikki LaRose N17 brush. It's a double-sided brush. That's probably why I brought it over. And we'll just kind of work a little product into the brush here. The white side is supposed to be for cream products, she says, and then the other side is supposed to be for powders. So, and we'll just get that on. So, it's funny. Let's talk about the investing side really quickly on that topic, and then we will get into other aspects of that. But on the investing side of things, it is really important to not just focus on the thing in front of us or the thing that people are talking about. You do want to look at lots of different areas that might be surrounding a sector when you're looking to invest for a certain result, for a certain type of investment. In this case, this would be robotics, but focusing on home robotics, things that can help around the house. If it will do my laundry, I'd be super happy with that. But I'll get into that in a second. But I do think that this is an area, I'm going to take a little bit more. This is an area that you do on an investing side. Don't just get sidetracked by what's being talked about in the media, because like I always say, if it's being sidetracked by the media, or if it's being talked about in the media, it's probably the opportunity is probably gone. Now, that doesn't mean the initial opportunity, I should say, is probably gone. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone completely. I mean, look at Apple. I was funny because I was listening to a discussion on the All In podcast. Shout out to them because I really enjoy that podcast talking about different areas. I know they talk about some politics and stuff too, although that goes into my world as well. But they are really interesting when it comes to talking about what is going on in the AI world. And so, I know if you don't like this administration, you might not feel like you want to listen to them because I know they're very pro this administration, but I would still try to get past that because they do talk about a lot of really interesting things when it comes to tech and AI and business, and you want to learn from people who've done very well, and they have. So, just FYI, I try not to let politics get in the way of, what I listen to. But I would say they were talking a lot about, why did I bring them up? They've been talking a lot about robotics and those kind of things. And they do talk about the different areas that might be, working around a certain situation. So they've been talking about SaaS technology, and is it doing well? SaaS is like Salesforce and those kind of companies. And are they going to bounce back? And are they going to pivot? Are they going to do? So you want to be. I guess why I brought them up might come to me why the exact reason I brought them up was, but you do want to focus on the big picture rather than the small thing. So let's take this discussion that doesn't have anything to do with what I was just talking about, which was home robotics, which is like SaaS, right? So many people will say, well, SaaS is dead. And a lot of their stocks have not done well recently because people are saying SaaS is dead. There's no need for Salesforce. There's no need. I have an AI. I have an AI agent that I'm building out, and I don't need that technology. Well, when you go at it in that way, you are not looking at pivots that they could be making, changes. There was Allbirds, which you might have heard about this. They were a shoe company. And as a shoe company, they did okay. They got great valuation. I'm not quite sure why they got such a high valuation, but they got great valuation. And I'm going to try to move forward as I'm doing this. I'll move on to the Benefit Hula Wave. This is the bronzing balm in original. That's what it looks like. And hopefully I've got my color better so you can actually see the color. Yeah, you can see the color a little bit better. But they do have, they made a huge shift because they weren't doing well as a shoe company. So now they're an AI company and they're doing very well. And you sit there and go, you went from shoes, I think they were even recyclable shoes. They were something sustainable, something or other. They all have their own gimmick that I don't know if that's actually true or not, but they were a running shoe company, and now they've turned into an AI company, and they specialize in a certain type of AI software, and it's just fascinating. So don't discount companies around in this area, and when you chase something like home robotics, just take a look at the whole thing. This is why diversification is really important. I'm trying to get as even a coating as possible. This is the Morphe S20 Slanted Sculpting Brush. It's very interesting shaped there, but this is a really light product, this bronzing balm, so getting a lot on is not really an issue, I've noticed. But it's really an interesting brush, and you can do a lot with it very quickly if you're looking for a fast way to do some bronzing. So, and the other thing with home robotics, which I think is more of the interesting side of it, is how comfortable are you with having a robot in your house? I know I just made the joke about, having it do my laundry. That would be lovely. I would love that. I'd love them to do the dishes and clean my house and all of that stuff. I mean, I think a lot of us would, but, is it, is that realistic? I'm going to change my mirror so I can see a little bit better. Oh, well, it won't change, so never mind. Is that really realistic? And is that affordability wise? I don't know if any of us are going to be able to afford it for a while. But the other side of it is, I don't know if I want a robot in my house. That kind of scares me. That seems like, a sci-fi movie or something. So how many other people feel like that? I don't usually have that reaction to things, but if I'm having that reaction, are other people having that reaction? It's very possible. Okay, so I'm going to go into eyes now. This is my Gerald Cosmetics that I have used before. I'm going to use this as my eye primer. It's way too much, but that's okay. We'll take it up here and powder in a second. So I think, the AI robotics, that whole world, has got multiple layers to it. It's a very interesting world. I even did a short video on flying cars and how the Trump administration, I don't even know the name of it, but the Sean Duffy, who's in charge of transportation, he just approved, or their office just approved, testing for flying taxis. And, isn't that interesting? And I had a gentleman on LinkedIn make a comment. He's from the aviation world, and he goes, how is this much different than when they granted things to move forward with, Airbuses and planes, and he's right. I mean, he's going to have a different perspective because of, okay, so the powder I'm going to use is the one size. This is ultra pink, or ultra peach, excuse me. I'm just going to use a little bit of this on to dust under just that primer. So I'm going to take this. This is the BK 114. This is going to be my concealer brush. I'm going to take the powder side, which is the non-white side, white tipped side, I should say, and just put little powder on just to bring down some of the tackiness and set the eye primer. And then I'm going to put that over there. Hopefully I don't make a mess because I left the powder open, which I probably shouldn't do, but that's okay. And then we'll move on to the shadow stick. And this is the IT Cosmetics Superhero No Tug Shadow Stick in Super Slate. This is the packaging. And it's a really kind of pretty, like taupey brown. There you go. Taupey brown color. And the nice thing about these is as soon as you put them on, they do a really nice job shearing out. Not too sheer. You can still get color on them, but it feels like a powder almost immediately, which is cool. So it sets down, but it's not so fast that you can't get any kind of traction on it. And blend it out. But I'm going to use this brush. I have no idea. I must have gotten this on Amazon. It has 0 label on it. I have no idea, so I will not have it down into the description because I don't know. But see, that's the way it looks. It's really pretty and it's super fast, and it builds up on itself really nicely, which is nice. So I just said nice 5 times in a row, but it is nice. I enjoy it. So what is your thought about having A, home robotics in the home? Does that scare you too? And then B, this is the key to diversification. Everybody thinks diversification has to be holding the entire market, which, realistically, that is a smart move, especially if you don't want to get into this sector jumping and, that kind of stuff. But I do think that if you do want to be a little sector specific or sector heavy, that's totally fine. You just have to be diversified in the area and don't get sidetracked with everything else. Don't get sidetracked with just focusing on the one area. Focus on the big picture of everything that could surround it. And that is a form of diversification. Okay, so I think that looks really nice. Easy breezy. Okay, next topic, personal finance. So this is going to be the personal finance area. 2026 Retirement Confidence Audit. Okay, so I pay close attention to this. If you are new here, I'm a financial advisor. That's why I'm talking about this stuff. I want finance to become easy and something that, girls talk about with each other. We don't tend to talk about finance very much. And I want this to be an open forum. So I tend to look a lot at these retirement statistics and audits that come out because I'm wondering what people feel about their retirement. So the 2026 Retirement Confidence Survey was just released. It doesn't list what the source is, but I will have that list. I'll put it either on the screen or in the description below. And the numbers are, they're troubling to say the least. So worker confidence has dropped 6% points down to 61%. So it used to be 67%. This month alone, which is May 2026. People are obsessing with hitting their retirement number. Oftentimes it's $1 million. I will get into how that is not your retirement number, but anyhow. And, confidence is dropping, but it's not because of the markets necessarily, which, are doing very well right now. They're dropping because of what is called daily friction. So 7 in 10 workers say housing and healthcare costs are now in direct competition with their 401k contributions, meaning they're having to prioritize housing and healthcare costs over putting money into retirement. So of course they would feel less confident about retiring. So really it's about cash flow. People are having a hard time with cash flow. And, do you feel less confident about retiring than you did, even 2 years ago? And really try to I know we talked a little bit about politics. I really try to stay out of that. I'm very neutral when it comes to politics. I don't have a team I'm on. I'm not team R or team D. I try to be very neutral, especially when it comes to finance, because that is, to me, a neutral thing. So, you can say if you really dislike this administration, you could say, it's because Trump, but let's try to take that out, okay? And let's try to say, is it cost of living? Which I'm going to say, yes, it is cost of living. Cost of living is causing problems for people. Is it all just because everything's gone up in price, or is it because what we want versus what we need, we are making that area a little fuzzy? So what do I mean by that? Okay, I need to keep moving on as I do this. So I'm going to take the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil. This is the older version, not the newer one that I had last week, in Mildew, which is kind of this like olive green color, which I just love. Hopefully you can see that. Which I just love. And the nice thing is these smudge out really nicely, but they also stay, which is good. I've got my little handy handheld mirror here instead so that I can see a little closer up. But I've got a smudge here on my eye, so I gotta get that out first. Obviously, I can't tightline my eye and talk to you at the same time. So hold on. Okay, and then I'm going to take it just on its side and kind of wing it out a little bit here, just to add a little depth. And I can literally just smudge it with my finger, which is nice. Okay, so I talk a lot, and I just did a video on this, actually, that's going to have to get approved before you'll see it, but called, talking about lifestyle creep. But that video is not my only video. I have tons of video on lifestyle creep, so if you're interested, just take a look at it. But I would say that we have a lot of lifestyle creep that happens, and that merge between needs and wants really get conflated a lot. So when you're looking at your budget, so that's what it looks like. When you're looking at your budget, take a look at how much are you spending on things that you absolutely need versus things that you want that you have now categorized on that you need. And take a look at it from just 5 years ago. How much has changed for you on this? I'm sure a lot. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to smudge it out a little bit. This dual-sided makeup brush that I don't have a name for, sorry, but it's somewhere on Amazon. So, and then I'm going to take this Soche eye brightener pencil, Waterline eye brightener pencil in Cashmere. I don't think that's going to show up for you to see, kind of, a little bit. It's a really nice kind of, if you do like I do and put some kind of a white or peachy color down here just to waken yourself up. It's really, I was a little worried because it was it's a pencil, it's a sharpened pencil, but it's very creamy and it's really easy to work with. I'm very happy with that. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this Superhero Non-Tug, and I'm going to put a little bit on my hand here. Take this brush here, again, this non-named, and see if I can smudge a little. Don't like having too dark of under the eye area. I just find that it looks like my makeup smudged versus the effect I'm trying to do, which is a little definition. So, all right, that works. All right, done with the eyeshadow pencil. So, once you take a look at that and really look at what you're spending your money on, looking at your credit cards every week and see what you're spending, you don't have to yell at yourself, but you do need to look at it and see, what you're spending your money on. And if that is a problem, meaning that you find yourself spending too much on areas that you weren't spending on 5 years ago, then, those are the areas you can actively cut back on because you're now conscious of them. Now, is that everything that's going on? Because it sounds like I'm blaming people for their own issues. No, of course, things are definitely more expensive. I mean, healthcare is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. Obviously, gas is more expensive right now. Hopefully it will come down. And I'm going to do mascara. I'm going to do the total Tower 28 Make Waves Mascara in Jet. I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's just a slightly curved wand. This is on its last leg, so I want to use it up before I have to toss it. But, if you're feeling the crunch, I always say there's a couple, you can't control the economy. You can't control how much things are going to cost. I don't care who's in office. You just can't. It just doesn't work. Nobody's going to go to the meat companies and say, you have to bring down the cost of meat. It's just not going to happen. But what you can control is where you spend and control how you want to spend your money. Meaning, don't just buy stuff because you've always bought it. Maybe you should be looking at a different brand. Maybe you should be looking at something else. You have ultimate control of what you spend your money on in general. Now, healthcare, I get it. You don't, especially if you get it from work. You have one option, really. I mean, you have a couple different plans you can choose from, but they might all be expensive. So, there's areas, but it's getting harder and harder, but I do think you have to focus on times like this, what you can control. Now, the other thing I want to get into with this is that retirement number. People still say $1 million is what you need for retirement, or they believe that. I don't know who's saying that. Nobody in my industry, I hope, is telling you have to have $1 million to retire. Your retirement number, how much you need to retire. Does anybody else, I'm going to break for a second. Does anybody else have like one area of your eyelashes that just drive you crazy? It just drives me crazy. I don't understand what's going on there. It drives me insane. So I just do a little bit on the bottom line here. But, your retirement number is totally personal. It really doesn't have anything to do with what any guru or financial expert is going to tell you. It's totally up to you. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it's based off of. Ready? What it's based off of is how much do you need in retirement to live? how much your Social Security, if you believe Social Security will be here, that is another discussion, is going to provide you. So you take how much you need minus your Social Security. Then you're going to say, how long do I think I'm going to live? I think I'm going to live 20 years in retirement, 30 years in retirement. I always run plans up to 95 or 100 years old for both people if you're married or a partner. Just because chances are, one of you will live to that time period. I know that's scary to say, but that's true. And just based off of statistics. And you calculate out, maybe that's 30 years, maybe that's 35 years, maybe that's 40 years. It just depends on when you're retiring. And you do a reasonable rate of return. So you say, I think my assets or my investments will go up 4% a year. And you calculate all that out, and that gives you your number. Now, you might be sitting there going, oh my gosh, that's too much math. There are calculators online. I wouldn't say they're the most trustworthy. Also, because you want to personalize it. That's why I do what I do, is I help people personalize that. But if you just wanted a basic, run the plan, actually, we have one on our website. So if you go to onevisionretire.com, we have a little tool that you can run your plan on. It's right in the front part of the page. So it's really easy to get to. But you can figure out what your number is. If you need $20,000 a month, your number is going to be a lot higher than $1 million, most likely, especially if you're retiring at 60, let's say. And that's another thing, is there's going to be nuances. Like if you retire at 60, you've got 5 years to pay for healthcare before you hit Medicare age, things like that come into play. However, you can get a basic idea, but you're going to learn that if you need $20,000 a month to live off of, you're going to need a lot more than $1 million. If you need $3,000 a month to live off of, you might need less than $1 million. So this $1 million number is crazy. It's not true. I have never met anybody that only needs $1 million, that million's exactly their number. I've never met anybody. And I've been doing this for 15 years. Never been $1 million on the dot. No. And also, I'm going to bring up one other thing. It depends on where you save it, right? So if you're saving it in something tax deferred, meaning you are getting a tax break now on your contributions, and when you pull it out, you're going to pay taxes on it, that is a very different number that you need to save compared to if you put in a Roth IRA where it's after-tax money coming out, because you don't have to calculate in taxes. Because if I need $5,000 a month from my IRA, I've got to pull, I'm making up a number, let's say $6,000 or $7,000 a month, and pay taxes on that to net $5,000. If you've got a Roth, I pull $5,000, that's what I need. Different. So just FYI. Okay, let's jump into the third topic, even though I'm not anywhere close to being done, but that's okay. I guess I'm somewhat close. Okay, so ownership upgrades. So people are making some changes on the way that they view their assets. They, in the past, it's been talking a lot about passive investments, like things like holding a mutual fund or an ETF or something like that. Now people are saving towards more active ownership. So things like fractional shares of real estate or private credit. We've talked about private credit in the past, to build what they call a moat around their wealth. And really what it is diversification. That's what it is. So this set and forget it is being replaced by active rebalancing. And it's about taking control of your assets rather than just being a passenger in a mutual fund. However, so first and foremost, does that sound appealing to you? Because a lot of people go, I do not want to deal with managing this stuff. I don't blame you. Most people don't want to do it, and I don't blame you for that at all. Okay, where am I moving to? I'm going to move to, okay, let's do eyebrows. Okay, I'm not going to use this today because I already have this other pen, but I just want to shout out to, because you've heard me in the last couple of weeks talking about, I don't understand the really your brows have to stay completely in place and all that. I guess I just don't have brows that move that much, so I don't understand the struggle. Plus, I just don't understand why your brows have to look perfect every moment of the day. That's just me. That's my opinion. It's okay. But I found this Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Primer. I have not heard anybody talk about this. This was part of the Amazon sale, and I was just looking through, and this showed up. It is a pencil that's clear. Well, it looks white, but it's clear. You can see there's really no color on it. I think, well, there's a little color. I think there were 2 shades, to be honest, on this. This is the light one. But it's very waxy, and you run it through your brows before you put in pencil. And it just holds, and it's so easy, and it's sharpenable, and I just love it. And I got it on sale. It's like $11. I bet you it's Anastasia Beverly Hills, so I'm sure it's like $20. But I like it. I think it's been kind of become one of my staples. But instead, I'm going to go in with this Catrice Shine Brow Wand. I have no idea what color it is. They haven't put anything on here. It's that color. That's the color. Probably dark brown or something like that. I don't know. But I just wanted to call that out because I thought that was such a good find. I've heard nobody talk about it. It's not like ABH isn't a brand that people talk about, but nobody talks about that. But this pencil is pretty waxy, so you really I don't think you need something else on top of this to hold your brows in place. It's pretty waxy on its own, but I just thought I would call that out. Okay, so run this through. Okay, so first and foremost, you have to be, when you're looking at active versus passive, whether it comes to, doing private credit, which we've talked about the danger of that, or anything of that nature, you have to know yourself. Are you an actual want to be involved investor? If you are, fantastic. If you are not, be honest with yourself, because that's going to make a big difference. Don't get involved with stuff that you need to actively manage, and then you don't because you don't really want to manage it. This is the Essence Jelly Grip primer, or under eye primer. I'm just going to run that under my eyes and tap that in for a second just to hydrate under my eyes a little bit before I get into the concealer. But you've got to know yourself. There's this whole trend of know yourself and self-care and all that stuff. And I like some of that stuff too. I do gratitude journaling in the morning and everything. So I'm going to go in with the True Skin High Coverage Concealer by Catrice. This is a pretty old product. This is in Warm Beige 20. And I'm just going to put some on the back of my hand, so I'll show you the color. There you go. Show you the color there. And I'm going to go in with this BK114 brush and use the front side of it now to just get some of the product on. This is a very full coverage concealer, and I just don't want a ton. It does what I need. And I like this little tip on this brush because it gets into this little corner here really easily, which is nice. So when you're thinking about different investing opportunities, just be really honest with yourself about what kind of investor you are before you get involved with any of this stuff. Because a way to lose money quickly is to, I hate to say this, but it's true, is to be in a active investment and then not pay attention to it. That is a way that you can really hurt yourself. Doesn't have to go badly, of course, but you could really hurt yourself when it comes to that. So, okay, I'm going to try this new technique. Oh, I didn't do mine. I'll do it right now. This is the Lip Volumizer Treatment Roc, and I'll put that on just for a couple of minutes. It does really volumize your lips. I'm kind of shocked at how much it does. And then in the meantime, I'm going to turn on my eyelash curler. I said eyebrow curler. That makes no sense. Then I'm going to try this new trick that I learned from some influencer. I believe it was Kate Talbert, but I don't know for sure. This is the Anua hydrating mist that everybody is talking about there. It's kind of gleams. So I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand, take the back side of the brush and just kind of tap it on. Under my eyes to kind of hydrate them a bit. I've done this a couple times and it has worked out very nicely actually. And then I'm going to take some of the powder. This is still that one size powder. Take a little bit in my hand, just a tiny bit, and then take that same side that I'd put the setting spray on. Now it's not wet anymore. And powder. And I only have to do the areas I need it because the Urban Decay foundation is self-setting, which is nice. Okay, I'm gonna finish it up. So we've got, I think I've got everything on. Okay, pretty much. So that's my main thing when it comes to this trend of passive versus active investing. I'm going to take the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer and Deserve Butter. That's the way it looks. That's the shade. I like it because it's kind of a peachy brown shade. It's very pigmented though, so you don't need much. Put it away so I don't make too much of a mess here. But just know yourself as an investor. And if you don't really know yourself as an investor, just start reading some articles, start watching the markets, watching your accounts. Sometimes people say, can I have a play account with a couple of stocks in there? I say, absolutely. I'm going to curl my lashes before I forget. And, because if you have a play account, then you learn yourself about A, investing, B, you get to test if you are actually staying on top of it, if you're actually interested, or this is just some kind of I don't want to be left out situation, which is very possible. And you can put in a certain amount in a play account that you say, if I lost that amount, I would be okay. I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't be okay. And you get to test yourself as an investor. So that is my word of advice for that. Okay, let's close up powder because I don't need it anymore. That away, and then onto blush. Blush is the RMS Hydra Powder Blush in, if I can get it open, in Sangria. That's more of the true color. You can kind of see it there. Very pretty, very pigmented, so I always have to be a little careful with that. And then I'm going to go in with the BK Beauty 109 brush. Just get that on the brush evenly, then tap it in the hand just lightly. The nice thing about this blush is that I don't have to put any kind of highlighter on because it's kind of has a highlight shimmer to it already, which is good. Okay, that's that. Take a little heavy my foundation brush and just go around the edges of it a bit. Okay, and then I think I'm just onto lips. So I'm going to do setting spray really quick. This is the Jelly Grip Refreshing Aloe Essence setting spray. Put it down. And then I'm going to go in with lips. So, blush. Okay. So this is the Essence Lip and Stay Tattoo Liner. Looks like a marker. And it's this kind of brown color. Oh, I can remove some of the but look how pink your lips get from that. It's crazy how that Roc formula really does that. And I wouldn't call it incredibly burny. You know, it does, you can feel it, but it's not like burning. Just gonna look. And I would say, you know, these staining lip liners, you're never going to get like a real sharp edge to them. So stop trying, because I stopped trying. And and it's okay. And then we're going to go in with the Hydra 3D Hydra lip gloss from Kiko Milano. Really pretty. And this is 34. I don't know the shade color. I don't think it's on here, but you can kind of see that is the color. That would go nicely with the blush. And just take a little bit more of the blush, what's on the brush, and that's it, I think. Did I hit everything? I did. And then I'll move on really quickly because I always run long, so we say it's going to be 30 minutes. It's not. I'm going to do the Merit. You can't see it. This is the Merit perfume. It's really nice. It's such an interesting perfume. Again, I try not to put too much on because my husband is a little bit of a tendency to start sneezing from too much perfume, so I try not to. But it's a really, I would call it not masculine in a bad way, but it's such an interesting perfume. You should go in store and try it. You know, it's an expensive perfume, hence why I got the little one. But because I just find I don't use perfume enough to deal with that. But it is a really kind of musky, woodsy kind of description. I'll put the notes that they say in there on this screen. But it is it's one of my favorite fragrances. I really enjoy it. So anyhow, that is today. So we talked about active ownership versus passive ownership and what type of investor you are. We talked about retirement confidence and the reality of your number. And we talked about robots in your home. Yay or nay? And also, you know, investing in that world and really looking at fully diversifying yourself. So this is today's look. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it looks good. So I'm pleased with it. Nice mix of products. Anyhow, hope you have a wonderful week and just keep focused on your retirement goals. Keep focused on learning more and more about finance, getting comfortable. It's all about being comfortable. Okay. So until next week, be safe, be strong, be kind to one another. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you on the next episode of your Bucket List Accelerator. Bye-bye now.